Greetings and welcome to another episode of Play Unplugged TV. I'm your host, Enrico Nardini from PlayUnplugged.com, and I'm fresh back from Gen Con 2014, the best 4 days in gaming. Had so much fun. What an amazing con. What I have for us today is another unboxing. This one is from Relic Knights, a game produced by Ninja Division, Soda Pop Miniatures, and in association with Cool Mini or Not. So we've got a lot of names attached to this product, but it is a super cool game. I had a chance to demo it, and I really enjoyed it. And so I've got a couple different boxes I want to unbox for you guys. This one is the Cerci Speed Circuit Battle Box Faction Starter. And so these faction starters are really kind of brilliant because of the contents. One of the things, when I look at a miniature game and I'm thinking about getting in or dipping my toe into this a new miniature game for the first time, you know, a miniature game can be an incredibly big investment. Those of you who are familiar with Warhammer or Predator Press's games or any of the myriad of miniature games, there's so many that run the gambit. Getting into a miniature game can be a very expensive endeavor. And so when you're looking at something like this, it's like, how much am I going to need to play? And one of the neat things about these are, according to the contents, we're going to take a look inside, you kind of get everything you need to play some pretty deep games without having to expand too much farther beyond this battle box. Now, this faction starter retails for $49.95, and considering what is supposed to be in the contents, I have a feeling it's going to be kind of an amazing deal. So, let's pop this sucker open. Alright, so I'm pretty familiar because of the demo I played. I can kind of identify all these contents. Obviously, there's the box. It's got some really great anime art. This game is definitely, it derives a lot of its content and appearance from popular tropes in anime. And so the Cerci Speed Cult definitely has that kind of, I guess, the way it was described to me is kind of almost a speed racer type aesthetic, but like obviously like taken to a more modern approach to that. And so really cool art on the box. Every faction box, I guess you get one of these play mats. Now these were out when I was doing the demo. You use these. This game has like an alternating activation thing, and it uses cards. And so you kind of line your guys up in the order you want them to activate, and then I activate a guy, you activate a guy, we go back and forth after an initiative roll. And so this kind of has all the, how you lay out your stuff. You have your guys in your ready area, you have a place for your Esper deck, and your active cards, and all those things, and you can stick all your tokens down here, so there you go. Great way to organize kind of your play space. You get a copy of the Relic Knights rulebook. It's a mini rulebook. This is not the full rulebook. You do get, from my understanding, like this describes all the things you need to actually play the miniature game. It doesn't have the fluff. It does not have the unit entries for all the units. But it does have the core move your roll your dice, move your mice, like things that let you do all the things you want to do in the actual miniature game. So that's a really great deal. If you're going to go play this somewhere, this is probably the copy you're going to take. The actual rulebook is a large hardcover. So that's pretty darn neat. Always love getting that in there, and it's one of the things towards having kind of a complete experience in one box. One of the necessary things. We have our cards. This is a questing knight. There are Relic Knights and questing knights, but this is basically your leader. If you're into like Predator Press game, this is like your warcaster or warlock. This is kind of the central piece. And in this case, this is Mary Claude, however it's pronounced. And she is a questing knight. She doesn't have a suit of Relic Knight armor, but she is still a powerful character. And the questing and Relic Knights get these big cards because they have a lot of different abilities. The rest of the cards for the units are going to be here. We'll take a closer look at those. Here is your package of miniatures. Here is your battle deck. Now, because this is a card-driven mechanic to run this game, these are Esper cards, and you deal them out to power your attacks and things like that, which is kind of neat. When I do a review, I'll kind of explain it a little more detailed. The Esper deck, the way it works is you're trying to power attacks. So it's more based on getting the cards you need to be able to do the ability than it is based on, like, say, a probability hit mechanic where I'm trying to roll something to get a certain number which counts as a hit. And lastly, and I think this is amazingly cool for, once again, for a starter, you get a set of tokens for playing the game with like objective markers and all different kinds of other tokens in there. What a great way to like kind of start. You know, you don't have to worry about anything. It's all in there. So I just think it's a really great package and kind of hard to beat at $49.95. That's a really great deal. Okay, so here we are a little bit more close up. This is the artwork on the box. Like I said, anime inspired. And so if you're into anime and manga, this might be a great game for you to consider. It definitely has all of the, you know, like it definitely captures that aesthetic really well. So there's the box. We're going to move that out of the way, take a look at some of the components. Like I said, here are your tokens. You get a ton of them. They're nice, solid plastic tokens. Just dig in here. Oh, jeez. Hopefully I don't lose any. So, there you go. That's the thing about video. So you can see these tokens are well made. They're hard plastic. They're translucent. And these, I believe, are objective markers, and then these other tokens can be used for things like victory point condition stuff and tracking wounds and things like that. So you get a bunch, I'm sure. It seems like all you would need to play the game. There's a ton of them here. And this is kind of a smaller scale skirmish game. You're not going to have a ton of figures on each side. You know, think in the maybe 5 to 6 to 10 range, somewhere around there. So you get a lot of bang for your buck. Move those out of the way. Here's the playmat I showed before. You know, you're going to have to excuse the glare. But there you go. It shows like the ready area, who's going when. Active card, that's like who you're playing with right at that moment. Here is the battle deck. And this is a, I believe, 42 card Esper deck. It's also got some other things in it. So we'll crack it open. Inside are your cards for playing the game. Might be worth sleeving these. Now, the way this works is that you can use it as either thing that's on there, but if it's large, it's worth 2. If it's smaller, it's worth 1. Each of these things represents a different kind of energy that you might want or need to power your abilities. Voids mean it's nothing. This means 1 of anything. And so there are also all different kinds of scenarios. This is a very scenario-driven game. I was actually told during my demo that it's possible to win the game without inflicting any damage on your opponent in some scenarios, which is that's pretty unique for a miniature game. Get that out of the way. We'll take a quick look at the cards that actually dictate the abilities of the models. Here's our questing knight. Like I said, I believe it's Mary Cloud or Claude. I might not be pronouncing that correctly. You can see that you're going to see on the other cards they have abilities too, but she has a large number of abilities, so she has a larger card. She also plays a more predominant role because she's the leader of your force if you take her. And she has an Esper. There's her Esper right there. It's like a little spirit that powers her, gives her special abilities. Here is the rest of the faction cards. There is Esme, her Esper. There's her card for when it comes up. Here's the card for the pit crew. It's like their abilities. Here's the actual thing when it comes up on the when it comes up in the initiative. And the Royal Wrecker, which is the other model you have, which is kind of an exosuit. So speed is one of the things with this crew. So they're all pretty decently fast. And you get to move and act and move. So the game's pretty dynamic. There is the Relic Knights small format rulebook. Like I said, it's just the rules. This is real. It is full color though, which is kind of neat for such a small production. Like like this is just like a mini rulebook, but it's full color. Gives you the breakdown of everything you need to know to play the game. Like I said, no fluff, no unit entries and things like that. But for just starting the game, this will get you by, no problems. And also probably the kind of rulebook you'd want to bring to a tournament or to your local game store. All right, last but not least, we have the miniatures. Now, for my understanding is that these faction boxes are balanced against each other, kind of similar to the way faction boxes work in the Privateer Press games. And so there actually are only 4 miniatures here. One of them is large, so you can see that on with the base. So, or 5 miniatures actually, because you also get an Esper. So let's take a quick look inside and see what we get. So we have a number of beveled bases, one for each miniature. Okay. And then we have, of course, our actual miniatures. Now, this is, in here we see our Esper is quite small. I'm actually not going to open this up right this second because I'm a little bit worried that I might lose some of these tiny, tiny parts. So that's something to consider. Those parts are very small. In here, okay, so for example, this is one of the members of the pit crew. Let's get that to focus. And you can see really well sculpted plastic. Feels kind of like, it does feel like a plastic, not a resin. I think it is like the PVC type, not PVC type, like kind of like the plastic mix that's used for producing Privateer Press games. This looks like Mary Claude, whatever it is, Cloud, her body. So there are some fine details here, or it might be the Royal Wrecker crew member. I'm not sure. Let's keep going. So we've got a lot of pieces. Okay, well here's the other pit crew member, and they have gigantic wrenches. Kind of reminds me of the giant mallets that many female characters would wield in anime. And so there you go. Once again, really well sculpted, interesting details. And so I assume a lot of this is going to be the parts of the Royal Wrecker. So not going to be as cool to look at in terms of, like, you're going to have to use your imagination in terms of its assembly. But you can see the parts are all really clean cast. There are a lot of parts. So these are going to be, luckily they're plastic, so there's not a ton of weight. But you're going to want to be careful in terms of the assembly and making sure you don't lose anything as you're like laying all these out. Actually, this is clearly Mary Claude's body because of the pistol and the pose. So there you go. So that other person was definitely the Royal Wrecker pilot. Here's another leg, some other components. This looks like a scarf. So the pieces look all clean cast. One thing that I definitely would have liked to see in this box set that's not here is an assembly guide. Because, for example, this Royal Wrecker looks like it's going to be kind of a project. It looks like there's a lot of pieces. I'm a pretty well-versed veteran miniature assembly guy, so I think I'm not going to have any problems. But if this were, say, your first miniature game, might be something to consider. An assembly guide would be nice. Anyway, we're going to move on. So that was a look inside the Cerci Speed Circuit Battle Box Faction Starter for the Relic Knights game. For more news, reviews, and unboxings, please check out PlayUnplugged.com. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, you'll get all of our updates. Leave some comments below, I'd love to hear more. What kind of things do you want to see me unbox next? And as always, thank you for watching.